My name is Lauren Parker, and I never imagined that the person who would teach me the most about compassion wouldn't be a stranger, but my husband's best friend, Ethan Reed. Ethan had always been the kind of man who brought laughter wherever he went. He'd been a constant in our lives, showing up for barbecues, holidays, even helping paint our living room when my husband, Ryan, and I first bought our home in Seattle. But that summer, when he showed up at our doorstep, his smile was gone. His eyes were tired, his shoulders heavy. Ryan had told me earlier that day that Ethan's engagement had just ended. His fiancée, Samantha, had called it off only weeks before their wedding. When I opened the door that evening, Ethan stood there holding a small duffel bag, looking lost. "Hey, Lauren," he said softly. "Ryan said it's okay if I stay for a few days." "Of course," I said immediately. "Come in, Ethan. You don't need to ask." I made him tea while Ryan helped him get settled in the guest room. The house felt quiet that night. Ryan tried to lighten the mood by joking about football, but Ethan barely smiled. I noticed his hands trembling slightly as he held the cup. Later, after Ryan went to bed, I found Ethan still sitting in the kitchen, staring at the mug. "I thought she was the one," he whispered. I sat across from him, not knowing what to say at first. "Sometimes," I said gently, "the right person comes at the wrong time. That doesn't mean you won't find the right one again." He looked at me for a moment, then nodded. "You sound like you've been through something similar." I smiled faintly. "Maybe not the same, but I've had my share of broken plans." That was the beginning of our quiet friendship, built not on big moments, but on small acts of care. Over the next few weeks, Ethan stayed with us. He started joining me in the mornings while I watered the garden. At first, he just sat on the steps, sipping coffee, but soon he began helping, handing me the watering can, planting herbs, and sometimes just listening to the soft rhythm of the sprinklers. One morning, he said, "It's weird how silence can be healing." "It's peaceful," I replied. "It reminds you that life goes on, even when you feel stuck." He nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, I need that reminder." As the days passed, I could see glimpses of the old Ethan coming back. The way he laughed at Ryan's terrible jokes, how he teased me about my obsession with organizing the pantry, how he smiled more easily. Still, some nights, I'd hear the faint sound of music coming from the guest room, melancholy guitar chords he played when he couldn't sleep. I'd leave a cup of tea outside his door the next morning. He never mentioned it, but he always finished it. One afternoon, while Ryan was at work, I found Ethan sitting on the porch, holding a photo of him and Samantha. He looked up when he heard me. "I don't even know what hurts more," he said quietly, "losing her or losing the version of myself I was with her." I sat beside him, watching the wind move through the trees. "Maybe this is your chance to rediscover who you are on your own," I said. "Sometimes heartbreak strips away everything that isn't meant to stay." He let out a long breath, like something inside him loosened a little. From that day, he began to heal more actively. He started jogging with Ryan in the mornings, cooking dinners for us, and even volunteering at the local community center. He said being around people reminded him he still had something to give. One Saturday evening, Ryan invited a few friends over for a small barbecue. The laughter, music, and smell of grilled food filled the air again, something I hadn't realized I'd missed until then. Ethan helped me carry dishes to the table, and when I thanked him, he smiled genuinely. "It feels good to be useful again," he said. A few days later, Ethan knocked on my office door holding a small potted sunflower. "You said the garden needed color," he said. I smiled. "It's perfect." The sunflower became a little symbol of hope in our yard, a bright reminder that healing doesn't happen overnight, but it happens all the same. As autumn rolled in, Ethan began talking about moving back to his apartment. I knew that meant he was ready. On his last night with us, we sat on the porch again, watching the sunset. Ryan had already gone inside to make a call. Ethan turned to me. "I don't think I've ever said thank you properly." "You don't have to," I said softly. "I do," he insisted. "You and Ryan, you didn't just give me a place to stay. You gave me peace when I couldn't find it anywhere else." His voice trembled slightly, but there was strength behind it. I smiled. "You did the hard part yourself, Ethan. You chose to heal." He looked at the sunflower by the fence and said, "Maybe I'll plant one at my place." A reminder. We laughed, and it felt light again. After he left, the house felt a little emptier, but also calmer, like a chapter had closed in peace. Ryan and I visited him often. He got a new job, started writing music again, and eventually, he met someone new. Months later, he brought her over for dinner, a kind woman named Olivia, whose laughter filled the room easily. Ethan looked at her the way he once looked at Samantha, only this time, there was something different, something steady. After dinner, he walked with me to the porch. "Remember when you said heartbreak strips away what's not meant to stay?" he asked. I nodded. "You were right," he said. "It left room for the right things to grow." As I watched him drive away with Olivia, I realized how far he'd come, from a broken man at our doorstep to someone who had found light again. That night, Ryan put his arm around me. You really helped him, you know. I just listened, I said. Sometimes, Ryan replied, that's exactly what people need most. I looked at the sunflower by the fence, its petals bright even under the fading light. I thought about how healing isn't loud or dramatic, it's quiet, patient, and often happens in the spaces between words. Ethan's story reminded me that being there for someone doesn't mean fixing their pain. It means standing beside them long enough for them to find their own strength again. And maybe that's what friendship really is, the steady kind of love that helps people rebuild when life falls apart. As the seasons changed and the sunflower wilted, I didn't feel sad. I saved the seeds, planning to plant them again in the spring. Because healing, like those tiny seeds, always finds a way to grow back.